Everyone, welcome. Thank you for being here on Monday night. We're having an exciting topic and a very good speaker. And she has been in Tajikistan a few times. And Dr. Robyn Friend has a PhD and has been premier performer and the teacher of Iranian dance in United States. She earned a PhD in Iranian linguistics from UCLA and has studied in Iran, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Azerbaijan. She also taught Persian dance to the children of Khane Iran. This is where this program is from 2001 and 2012. She's a co-founder the Tajik Dance Initiative in 2005, and as a part of that activity, spent considerable time in the rural eastern province of Tajikistan. This work forms the basic of tonight's presentation. We all welcome Dr. Robyn Friend, and we're very happy she invited my invitation and proud of having her in our community because she lives very close to where I live. And when we have Nowruz party in Khane, Iran, the weekend before Nowruz, she and her students, and two of her students are here tonight, or maybe more, they will really do a great job and then, really perk up the party. Merci, Robyn John.
خواهش میکنم.
Thank you.
Thank you
Welcome.
so much.
And
Thank you.
welcome everyone. And your floor is yours and the
Thank you.
screen share is open to you.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
I want to thank you, Rotsi Khanum, for inviting me.
Of course.
I love to talk about Tajikistan. I have hours and hours and hours I could talk to you about. I have an hour and 15 minutes to cram it all in. So this is going to be a limited view, but I'm going to focus mostly on the eastern province of Badakhshan, which I have spent most of my time, and which I find endlessly fascinating. So just to give you a picture of where Tajikistan is, it's that turquoise state there in the middle. It's the most completely landlocked country on the planet. It's probably the farthest from any body of ocean water. As someone mentioned earlier, the cities of Bukhara and Samarkand are actually Tajik cities. And even today, 85% of the population speaks Tajiki as a first language. Many people in Uzbekistan speak Tajiki. Many people are trilingual, quadrilingual. Pretty much everyone speaks Russian. Everyone speaks Uzbek. Many people speak Tajiki as well. But when Stalin created the borders of the new Soviet republics, he liked to keep the minorities off balance. So, or the majority population off balance. So he gave Bukhara and Samarkand, the jewels of the Tajik world, to Uzbekistan, and cut a big chunk of the Fergana Valley, which is the most fertile valley in this region, to Tajikistan. So this is a little bit more detail of Tajikistan. So we have the capital city of Dushanbe in the west, and it's part of the more mountainous region, part of Tajikistan. The highest mountains are here in the east, and then there's flatlands in the southwest and a bit up here in Khojand. Let me just get organized here. Okay. So the map we're looking at here is a topographical map. So you can see how high the mountains are 5,000 meters, 22, 23, 24,000 feet high peaks. The river valleys are at 7,000 feet in the lowest spot, which is at the Amu Darya, which forms the border with Afghanistan. The main product of Tajikistan has always been agriculture. So there's a lot of water, and when there's flat space, they grow things, and they have really beautiful, delicious produce. A lot of the agricultural work is done by women. So this is a sort of ethnic linguistic view of Tajikistan. So the sort of light purple here is where people speak Tajiki as a first language. The reddish is people who speak Uzbek as a first language. My dance teacher in Dushanbe is from Khojand, and she has a very different accent to the rest of Tajikistan. So I have a hard time understanding her, but I think it's because it was originally an Uzbek area. And then in Badakhshan, they speak Shughni and dialects of Shughni, Shughni being an Eastern Iranian language, not related, distantly related to Persian, but not directly related in any way. But it's related to the Sogdians and the Saka, who came in the early migrations of Indo-Aryans to the region. So I'm going to spend most of my talk in Badakhshan. I just want to give you a quick little picture of Dushanbe. This is a typical street corner on the main street, old Soviet architecture, and there's been a lot of modernization, and I haven't been there in 10 years, so things could have changed a lot, but this is basically how it looked for most of the time that I was there. There was, at the time, they may have modernized and have a supermarket, but there was a green bazaar where all of their produce was brought. And why was the town called Dushanbe? Because before modernization, the farmers would bring their produce to that spot, and once a week, on Monday, was the market, the big farmers market of Dushanbe, of Tajikistan. As somebody said, they do celebrate the same holidays that you do in Iran. This is obviously Nowruz with the Sabzi and so forth. Same, a little bit different, but they are very Iranian. I wanted to give you a little picture of some of the traditional architectural styles. This is a takht. I think that's the word you use in Persian. You know, normally there would be a nice carpet and some beautiful pillows and some very narrow mattresses lining the three sides. And in good weather, people go out there and eat their breakfast, their meals. If the weather's hot, they'll sleep out there. This is out in the parking lot of my dance teacher in Dushanbe. This is just a lady who's selling this beautiful, this fabric is called atlas in Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, but we use in English the word ikat. It's the same kind of technique of stringing up the loom and tying off the sections of color and dyeing one color at a time. It's a very popular fabric in that region, Uzbekistan and Tajikistan. Just want to show you a quick couple of photos. While I was there, there was a mass wedding. I guess it's cheaper for people to just marry all at the same time. And one of the interesting things for me was that the procession is led by musicians. And this long horn is called karnai. It's very, very similar to the Qashqai karna. And also sornai, which I think is also an ancient Iranian instrument. Probably they use it out in rural areas in Iran. So in big cities like Dushanbe in Tajikistan and Tashkent and elsewhere in Uzbekistan, they have a history of classical music called shash maqam, which means 6 maqams. It's similar to Persian classical dastgah, except it's executed differently. It includes classical poetry set to music, classical music, and also dance, which is unlike Persian dastgah classical music. The repertoire is very similar between Uzbekistan and Tajikistan. And if you'd like more information about that, there's an excellent book called The 100,000 Fools of God by Theodore Levin. He talks about several different regions of Central Asia. And I want to play you a clip from the shash maqam repertoire. One big difference between Persian classical music and this shash maqam music is that Persian classical music is very dependent on improvisation. And what happened when the Soviets took over, they tried to regularize everything. So one of the things that Theodore Levin says is that the music has become frozen. So they are playing composed pieces in a particular order, but there's not so much improvisation. So I wanted to play for you a solo music, which is maybe it's improvised or maybe it's something that's composed. Just a short clip. I'm going to be putting all of the clips I have in this talk on my website so you can hear all of it. But I just want to give you a taste because I have so much I want to show you. In 2006, there was an international festival of shash maqam music in Dushanbe. And this involved, of course, recitations of poetry and music with poetry and also dancing. So this gentleman is reciting a poem. You may recognize it. It's in classical Persian. If you go to Tajikistan as a Farsi speaker, you'll be able to understand them. There are a few grammatical constructions that are a little different. For example, when you say Doram miram in Farsi, I am in the process of going, they say istade meram. So you'll understand it. And when they do déclamé, it sounds exactly like Farsi déclamé to me.
ساقی به نوری باده برافروز جام ما مطرب بگو که کاری جهان شد به کام ما در پیاله عکس رخ یار دیده ایم ای بی خبر ز لذتی شرب مدام ما هرگیز نمیرد آن که دلش زنده شد به عشق ثبت است در جریده عالم دوام ما. دوستان
One of the things that really drew me to study dance in Tajikistan was the fact that unlike in Persian classical music performance, the dancers actually dance to classical poetry and to mystical poetry. So I'm going to show you a dancer who is dancing to classical music and poetry.
Just
skip ahead. Okay, I would like to show you an example of one of the regional dance styles from Kulab, which is part of the plains region in the southwest. It's very, very popular in Tajikistan. You see it on television a lot, at festivals and so forth. This is a stage costume that was made for me, but it's based on the traditional costume, which is an overdressed, which is heavily embroidered. And then there's an underdress with very long sleeves. And so I wanted to show you this picture because the dance is called Rakse Ostin, the sleeve dance. And I have a video of my teacher, but she's not wearing the costume. But I wanted you to see her and not me. So now we're going to the place in Tajikistan I love the best. The capital of this region is Khorog. And the population in Khorog is about 25,000 people. The climate is intercontinental, so winters are really harsh. This photograph was probably taken in spring or summer, and this is how the mountains look. It's characterized by frequent earthquakes and land movement, and I'll show you the result of that. There are very few native trees. Fruit trees do great, but they have to be imported because there's not a lot of native trees. And the animals that are native to the region, like sheep, are very small. It's a harsh environment. So this is the region, Gorno-Badakhshan Autonomous Oblast. It means the mountainous Badakhshan Autonomous Region. There are several different sub-regions here. These are all Shughni regions. That is those ancient Iranians. The capital Khorog is in the sub-province of Shugnan. And then this pink part is Murghab, which is basically Kazakh. Sorry, not Kazakh, Kyrgyz. It borders on Kyrgyzstan, and there are Kyrgyz in China, and also in the Wakhan corridor, which is a long valley that separates Tajikistan from Pakistan. It's part of Afghanistan. The river valleys, I think I said this already, are around 7,000 feet at the lowest point. Badakhshan has about half of Tajikistan's landmass, but only about 2% of its population. So in this photo, we we were planning to go to Ishkashim, which is the southernmost tip, southeasternmost tip of Tajikistan. And our trip going out was delayed, and by the time we got on the road, this is what we found. Rocks, boulders had fallen down, and we couldn't go. Now, the people up here are very resourceful, and they're very prepared for bad weather and for rock falls. So they have snow plows to help them keep the roads clear in winter. But in the summertime, or the non-winter months, the snow plows work as rock plows. The surface is very rocky. There's very little topsoil. And you would have to say that the Pamir Mountains are geologically young, and they're in a state of constant reformation. They're part of the chain of mountains of Central Asia that include Hindu Kush and Karakoram and Tian Shan, and the Pamir Mountains all are being created by the Indian subcontinent floating north and cramming into the land there. So there's constant upward land movement. So I want to talk a little about the Shugnis. As I said, they are Iranian in the broader sense of the word, from a very early wave of the Aryan migration. They're related to the Sogdians, the Saka, and the Scythians. Their language it's an Iranian language, but absolutely not intelligible to modern Farsi speakers. I just want to give you some examples. So the word for chahar is tsavar. And a linguist can explain to you how those words are related, but if you heard someone say tsavar, I don't think you would recognize it. Raftam, I left, is similar in structure. Toid is a past root like raft, and is toidam is raftam. But here we get very interesting. Raftand, they left, is wathing toid. Every time I tried to learn a little Shugni, I would come up against crazy grammatical things like this. So they all understand each other, though every river valley has its own dialect or accent. I'll be talking about this festival. This is from the festival of the Roof of the World. But these are some local people from Khorog, Shugnis, sitting in the park and watching the festival. Some of them are participants. So, a little trip from Dushanbe to Khorog. What you're looking at is the Amu Darya, which separates Tajikistan from Afghanistan at this point. And we saw these small green Afghan villages on the other side along the whole road. And also these very narrow paths, which is the only road along the river at all for the Afghans. Here we are in Dushanbe. We're loading up the four-wheel drive vehicle. The roads are really, really bad, as you will see, up in the mountains. So we have to hire a special driver with a special vehicle to get us through. Here in the front is Charlene Sawyer, who you may know. She's the director and founder of Ballet Afsane in San Francisco area. And this is Samandar Pulodov, our guide, interpreter, and our friend. And he's actually living in Los Angeles now. And he is from Shugnan, from up in the mountains. So here we are again on the road. This is probably a roadside bush pit stop. And here on the left is the Tajik Road. It was built by the Soviets so that they could go into Afghanistan. But there is a road, and on the right side is the donkey track It's wide enough for a donkey and a couple of bags on either side. And we would see people with widescreen televisions on a donkey walking along. A more sophisticated pit stop, but I want you to notice the water running over the road. This was in May, so the snow had begun to melt. There was a lot of water coming down from the mountains, and that proved to be a little bit tricky for us. At one point, the water was gushing over the road so badly that we couldn't drive through the road. And we and our driver was standing around talking to a bunch of other people, trying to figure out how we were going to get our cars on the other side. So what we ended up doing was going down this cliff, down to the river valley, driving past this village, crossing the river, and going up on the other side. As we were going across here, we found somebody who was stuck in the mud. There's a very ancient and very deeply respected tradition of hospitality and mutual aid in the Pamir Mountains because there are always problems. And it's a small population. Many people know, most people know each other. Everybody in a single valley knows each other really well. And the drivers know each other, so they know to give help if help is needed, because someday they will need help for sure. And hospitality, the same thing. The only place to get services like hospitals and so forth would be in Horog, and coming down from the mountains, you need, if you don't have a car, you go on foot, and you need a place to stay, so you stay in people's homes. And so everybody's home has a space for guests. Their religion is fascinating. They were originally sun worshippers, pagans. Then they were Zoroastrians. There's Buddhist influences. And then Nasir Khosrow in the 12th century brought Ismaili Shiism to Badakhshan. And that is what they practice today. But they don't pray 5 times a day. They pray twice a day, as they did when they were Zoroastrians. They don't have mosques, but they have weekly meetings. If you know anything about the Alevi of Turkey, who are Shias, not Ismailis, but Shias, but they have similar meetings. In these meetings, they share food, and the pir invites the musicians to play music, and then those who are so moved will get up and dance. And this happens every week. What I'm going to show you is a clip from a play that was created, a dramatization of the civil war that raged for, I think, 7 years after the Soviets pulled out of Tajikistan. And it was a devastating war. Practically everybody we knew had someone die in this war. And so this bit is just one piece of that whole production. And it is a choreographed, more or less choreographed, although these men are dancing the way they dance. But I thought this would be interesting for you. They are dancing to poetry, which is being sung. And I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. This guy. I want to tell you about the Pamiri houses, which are very interesting. They have both pre-Islamic and Islamic elements in their construction and in the way they are used. They're somewhat like yurts. If you know how yurts are constructed, they're like square yurts. They have a hole in the center, and there are different areas inside. They're basically one room, and there are different areas of this room that are dedicated to different purposes. There's seating on 3 sides, and there is both Zoroastrian and Islamic symbolism. So this would be, you would be entering from here between these pillars. These are called the sun and moon pillars, and also the Hassan and Hussein pillars. And this bar across here most often has sun and moon iconography. The ceiling, called a chid ceiling, is composed of 4 concentric squares for the 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water. There are 40 cross beams in the ceiling, and these are for the 40 Zoroastrian angels. And then there are 3 pillars along one wall for Muhammad, Ali, and Fatima. The platforms are on 2 different levels. So there's 2 low platforms and 1 high platform, and they are for the mineral, plant, and animal kingdoms. And the animal kingdom is where the family sleeps and where the cooking is done. So here's one of those looking from the other direction, the Hassan and Hussein / sun and moon pillar, and you can see the sun and moon images. And here's a close-up. There are many sacred sites all over Central Asia, actually. And I'm just going to show you a few from Badakhshan. They are local pre-Islamic and Islamic saints. They have several similar elements. One is the ram's horns you find in all of them, and these rounded stones. Some of them are clearly meteorites. They're very black, and some of them have wild rue that they burn. So this is the tomb of Mashgul Gosha. He's the one you go to if you're having difficulties, and this is in the Bartang Valley, where we will pay a visit in a bit. Here's a little stone. You put a little bit of money under there for the caretaker. Walk down the path, go through the gate into a little walled garden. There's an entrance created, and then you can look through into the saint's tomb. So you can look through this little window. Here again, the Hassan and Hussein pillar, this time not sun and moon imagery, but I'm guessing this is something from the Quran. And here is a photograph of the Aga Khan, the most previous one, the father of the current Aga Khan. And the second site I want to show you is in the Shakhdara Valley. It's in a village high up from the Shakhdara Valley. It is the tomb of a saint who was one of 3 brothers who came from Iran. And what they did in this village was to teach them about irrigation. So they helped them build irrigation channels to bring snow melt into their fields to grow food. This is the doorway into the site. There's a big place. This is a big pot. I would say this is a Russian pot called a gastriula, which they use to cook. It's called osh, but it's not osh. It's rice and meat and vegetables. It's like a polo. And here's the tomb of the saint. and I'm going to bring you close in to the ram's heads, and I think this is some kind of gazelle, the Quran, and some other things. The saint had a servant who asked if he could be buried in the same tomb, and he received one of these round stones. We're looking out into the fields below in the Shakhdara Valley, and I'll show you another picture of agriculture. This was in May of 2005. And a couple other photos of the ram's horns. Another secret site. And now Khorog. This is a view from the hill above Khorog. This is the Panj River, which goes through the middle of town and out to the Amudarya. We're looking at Soviet-era buildings, very poorly constructed and not in traditional style. The last time I was there, they had been building this lovely park area, a place to hold meetings, a place to have parties, and a tea house, and they've done it in more traditional style with this beautiful hand-carved decorated wood, and of course a tea house. In I think it was 2006 was the 10th anniversary of the arrival of the Aga Khan in Badakhshan. Previously, until the Soviets had left, he had not known that there was an Ismaili community in Tajikistan, and so he came and visited in, I think, 1996. And one of the things he did was get the Tajik and Afghan governments to agree to build bridges in 3 places from the Tajik side to the Afghan side to allow people to come over and have a market together. So the Afghan Badakhshanis would come across and bring their cheap goods from India, and the Tajik Badakhshanis would bring their cheap goods from China and have a market together. And it was an opportunity for families that had been divided for 70 years to try and get together to, find out if they were related to people from on the other side. I spoke about hospitality, and this is one of my friends there. She was a teacher at the high school, and she invited me to visit her, and of course she put out a lavish feast. When people invite you, they're very, very poor, and when they invite you, they put out everything they have. During our project, we had to learn not to eat everything, because the people themselves would eat whatever we had left over. If we ate it all, they didn't have anything to eat. So now, Pamiri dance and music. This is the interior of a Pamirian house. You can see they're sitting at the animal kingdom, which is in 2 levels, and where the family sleeps. So their music is mostly in the Dastgah of Chahargah and a little bit of Mahur. They have all kinds of songs that they sing, but mostly they sing in Tajiki. They sing the classical Persian poets, Maulana, a lot, whom they call Shams, because they sing from the Divan-e Shams-e Tabrizi, and they don't realize that Shams-e Tabrizi is the object of the poetry and not the author of the poetry. But also Hafez and other poets, and especially Nasir Khosrow. They play a suite of songs called Maddo, which is a very intense spiritual journey. They do this during the winter time. They get together and they'll play music all night. They do it at happy occasions like weddings and births. They do it after funerals. And music and dance is an intensely integral part of their life. They also do it as a healing ritual. And I'm also going to be showing you two things with just percussion. Daf-soz, which is something that the men do in the beginning of the Mado performance, and kahoy daf, which is something that women do as a welcome ceremony. For dance, one of the main dances that they do is rapo. Rapo is the name of a dance. It's the name of the melody that they most commonly use for the dance, and also for rhythm. And they use this rhythm in some of their other songs as well. They do party dance, some of which looks very much like Persian party dance, and some of which looks more like rapo. You'll see examples of all of this. Kish kish, the rapo rhythm is doom, da doom, da da doom, da doom, da da doom, da doom, da da doom, da doom, da da. Kish kish is also a rhythm, a dance, and a ritual. It's both a cleansing ritual and the samo, the funeral and mourning dance. And that rhythm is doom doom tek doom tek tek doom tek doom tek doom tek tek doom tek doom tek doom tek tek doom tek. Both of these rhythms have a little bit of lang in them, so you can't beat out an even rhythm through the whole phrase. So another performance dance is aspak, rakse aspak, which is a dance with the hobby horse. You'll see two examples of this. And then people do choreographies for performance. There are professional dancers, and they're much appreciated. So first of all, I want to show you rapo. I am here with one of my students, Mina. This is a costume that my teacher helped me design. These little hats are called toki. Men and women wear them. Women usually wear red ones. Men wear all different kinds of colors. So this is Atrigol, and she's going to dance rapo, and she's dancing it to the rapo song. She's an exquisite dancer. She was in a dance company created by my teacher, Maingol Nazashoyeva. My friend and our interpreter, Samandar Pulodov, began this Jashne Bomi Jahon, the Roof of the World Festival, and my husband and I attended in 2010, so I took some photos and some video. I want to, this group, you'll see them later. This is Musarwal, a very important musician in the community. This is a group of Kyrgyz musicians, and I'm showing you this picture from the front because when I videoed them, I had to do it from the back. So this is Kahoydaf. These ladies began the procession. They play, there's 3 different beats that are played, 3 different parts. So one part is the basic kish-kish rhythm, boom, boom, tek, boom, tek, tek, boom, tek. And then there's boom, boom, tek, boom, boom, tek. And then there's a woman who plays a 4-measure phrase that's different each measure. One person does that. What else can I tell you? This is the opening procession of the festival, and the festival participants are all gathering and coming behind.
ای رهگذر سلامی ای رهگذر سلامی ما نیز ره سپاریم این ره که تو سپردی ما نیز می سپاریم گر غم شریک مایی ما نیز غم شریکیم گر تو غمی نداری ما نیز غم نداریم درود.
I'm just going to show you a short clip of the Kyrgyz. They're singing, this gentleman here in the white hat is singing from their Manas epic. It's kind of like Shahnameh, but it's one character, Manas, and it has hours and hours of stories. So I'll just play a little clip of him. The purpose of the Roof of the World Festival was to bring musicians, dancers, singers from all the mountainous regions around that complex of mountains. And also Tajiks from outside the country, because you know there are Tajiks in northern Afghanistan, there are Tajiks in Pakistan, there are Tajiks in China. So this group and this dancer were from Chitral in Pakistan. And I don't know for sure if they were Tajik or not, but I love his dancing. It's very subtle. It's very precise. He's not a professional dancer. And you see him, he has his back to us because he's singing to his friends who are playing music. But I find his dancing absolutely delightful. There was a group of Tajiks from Tashkurgan in China, and the children in the crowd got up and danced. And I want to get to these kids. Kids in Tajikistan, at least up in the mountains, they learn to dance before they can walk. I saw a mom with a tiny baby bouncing the baby around and moving her hands around. So it's in their blood. So this is the Bartang Valley. This is actually not far from the shrine of Mashgul Gosha. Our guide arranged for us to meet groups of musicians. This is Dawlat Nazar, who was our driver, and Charlene, of course, and Samandar. So they arranged with, as I mentioned, Musarwal in Shojand to play music and dance for us. And of course, we had to have a meal. Everything was fresh. As I said, they're very poor, and they get their protein where they can. So this bread was actually made from date pits, ground up date pits. They also grow apricots, dry the apricots, separate the pits out, dry the apricots, crack open the pits, and take the seed out and dry that, and that's protein for them. So this is Musarwal on the left, and this is the beginning of their performance for us, and it begins with a welcoming song in the Dafsaz tradition. This instrument is dutar, and this is also in the beginning of the Maddo performance.
اسرار غزل را نه تو دانی و نه من این حرفی مهما نه تو خانی و نه من.
Okay, and moving on, this is Maddo, and Musarwal is going to dance a bit of Rapo. Every person who dances Rapo, especially the men, have their own unique style, which is why I'm showing you so many clips of this. And Musarwal is quite unique in his execution.
I know you're Fetani.
And we come to Rakse Aspek. You can see the form of the costume. It's like he's sitting on a horse, and there's a small horse head there. The next example is Kish Kish. It's two men dancing together. It can be done as a party dance, just as a fun dance, but as I said, it's also a ritual dance and a healing ceremony.
Tu vas?
And Saponj is the last village that we went to in the Bartang Valley. We go to John Bose, who was another well-regarded musician, actually toured in Europe. And this is the garden of his house. At the very last house in Saponj, there were these caves. I'm going to do this really quickly so we can get back to music. Well, there was caves, and my husband and I and a young couple were determined to climb up and look in the caves. You can see how loose the stone is. I couldn't make it past 10 feet. The others made it up, but I couldn't. There they are, stoutly making it up the hill. But my husband took the easy way down. It was very rough going. In fact, I got stuck. I couldn't go forward. I couldn't come back. And the girl in green next to me, 8 years old, the strongest biceps of any 8-year-old I've ever experienced, and she basically hauled me down by main force. Another experience we had is this bridge, which is a suspension bridge, and the four of us wanted to get to the other side of the Bartang River, and it looked like there was a sheep cut or something over there, so we went on the bridge. It's a suspension bridge, as I said, and it bounced and bounced and bounced and bounced as we walked across. And behind us was a Shugni girl standing waiting for us to cross and waiting for the bridge to stop bouncing and trying not to laugh at us, because when she crossed, the bridge didn't move. They learn a special way of walking, using their abs and their whole body to move through space in a way that we just had not mastered. This is the end of Siponj. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Sarez Lake, but high up in this river valley is a lake that was created after an earthquake in 1912 when, boulders rolled down and dammed off the river. The mountains being very tall, the lake is very, very deep, and they say that there's enough water there that if the dam ever broke, it will flood Tajikistan and flood into Uzbekistan. So they're very careful about who they allow up there. You have to have a permit. So this is John Boz here in the center. Very interesting elderly man. Very, very spiritual. He made little books by hand, paper books bound and with calligraphy in Persian of quotations from the mystical poets. The instruments here, this is dutar again, this is robab, this is gijak. It's like a kemenche, but it is a square box, and they'll make this box, and covered with skin, and they'll make this box out of anything, a cigar box, whatever is sturdy. And this is doire or daf. When you're lucky, you also might get a kemenche, and so John Boz is going to play a little kemenche. So here's John Boz with the band. Actually, I think I'm going to skip ahead. They're going to sing Mado. Let's do this here.
کامی دل درد من دمو کن دفی اسدی گزن دمو کن
Sorry. Anyway, I'm gonna skip ahead. This is the real Mado, and I wish I could play all of it for you. I wish I could play all of it for you because it's very impassioned. But I'll just play a little bit, and then we will see Shirin Nazar dance. to Shirin Nazar. This is a young man in the village, not a professional dancer, but a beautiful dancer, as you will see.
روز خیال کردم رفتم نسل بازار روز خیال کردم رفتم نسل بازار ماهی نشستن ایدم در میان گلزار ماهی نشستن ایدم در میان گلزار چون کمگه خوش کنم در باها سایل میکن چون کمگه خوش کنم در باها سایل میکن آمد چیدم بر گل را زندگی به دستم چیدم بر گل را زندگی به دستم خالص یاد هم در کمان هم چشمان به سانه ها هم در میان هم چشمان به سانه ها هم در میان هم صدای در جوانی صدای در جوانی.
This is just us with some of the kids from the project, the Tajik Dance Initiative. The project was to go to Badakhshan with some American dance ethnologists and to get connected with Tajiks and Shugnis to do some filming projects and to learn something about ethnology and ethnography. And I'll be showing you actually two clips from two of the results. So this is Sarkari, who lived in the house at the end by the caves. He was a school teacher and also a dancer, and he's going to dance. This is one of the documentary films that the TDI students made. He's going to dance, there's going to be some narration, and he's going to talk about the Samo dance.
They can't imagine their life without dance. They say, it's like darkness, you can't see the world, the light. You are like an animal, you can't differentiate, not play, not sing, not dance. No, it's not life. With dance and music you can feel the life. You feel that you are alive and you can see the sweetness of life. Yes, they connected every part of their life with dance. One of the dance that Sarkari does, and which is the most difficult dance, is Samo dance. Samo dance is performed when someone dies. There are special movements that you don't do in every dance movements. Your arms and movements are downwards. You are sorrowful. At the end you see the dead body off. The clothes you should have green. The tassel of the toqi, the traditional Tajik hat, should be on the left side. You make your face black with something. This is done by men. Women wear their hair loose and tie a sash around their waist. As for the music, just dance and song with a dance. To slap your face means now you have no one in this world. When Sarkori raises his arms, this is to God. When he wraps his arms around waist to the right, then to the left, means everyone will die.
Sorry. You can find the entire video that was produced on my website. It is there now. I just want to show you a picture of my dance teacher, Meingul's mother, who became famous for playing this rabab, which women never played before. But she was moved to learn it and to sing, and she became quite famous in Tajikistan for that. So this is the last section. This is Ishqashim, which is the southernmost tip of Tajikistan in the Pamirs. There are petroglyphs all over that region. I think Ishqashim itself is at about 9 or 10,000 feet. There are many hot springs. This is one particularly lovely one, Bibi Fatima Hot Springs, near an ancient fortress. And again, this is the Afghan Bazaar at Ishqashim in Tajikistan. And people from the Afghan side, which was called Sultan Ishqashim, could come across to this island. We all had to surrender our passports before we could cross on the bridge. And I bought some nice things there. This gentleman wanted to have his picture taken with me. Oops, why are you doing that? While we were staying at a guest house in Ishqashim, we met a group of British climbers who were going to go into Afghanistan, into the Wakhan corridor, and climb. And they came with a BBC team. These climbers had a long list of supplies they needed to buy in Sultan Ishqashim, and they did not know a word of Tajiki or any language that would help them. So I sat down and wrote out a translation of things like salt and sugar and tea and rice and bread. And so they interviewed me for the little documentary they made. So this is the final thing I will show you. This is the Raqs-e Aspak in Ishqashim. It's quite different. This is also part of one of the TDI films, and you can go see it immediately on my website. And here we go. So in case this sparks your interest, I would recommend you visit to read the book 100,000 Fools of God by Theodore Levin. And he also has a textbook about Central Asian music, which is very good. The films by the students of the Tajik Dance Initiative you can find on my website. It's robynfriend.com. And as I said, I will be posting all of these videos in full on the web when we figure out. Please move the window away from this shared application. Yes, I will do that. Yeah, so they will be there for you. And what I'll do is when we get it up, I will let Rotsi Khanum know, and she can let you all know. So, no, stop. This ends my presentation, and I thank you very much for your kind attention. I know I went a little bit over time,
No,
and
that's
let
fine.
me know which questions you have.
Sure. Thank you so much. It was a lot of question was about what's your website, which we did put it down there, and then you
Yeah.
mentioned it. This was an excellent presentation because
Thank
it was
you.
your own experience and you're going to all the villages and all that. From your presentation, and what I got is that Tajikistan is financially poor, but culturally very rich and very
Yes.
sophisticated.
Yes.
Yes. Dance, poetry, and the most impressive part was, their houses.
Yeah.
When they're building the house, they have Hussein, Hassan, um, Allah, Islam, Buddha, Zardosht. I mean, goes on and on. So, and I know their president is very progressive and having a lot of things change for better. I think he should be the president of the whole world, and maybe we stop fighting with each other over religions.
Yeah.
It was fantastic, and
Thank you.
you mentioned one thing um, that two-man dancing. That
Yes.
I forgot the name. Those
The
two men, they
Kish
were
Kish.
like Kish Kish, yeah. It was like they were like bullfighting. They kind of like looked me like, you're in Spain or wherever they do the bullfighting. That kind of move was very interesting. And then they absorb a little culture and dance from their neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously scenery is to die for. And thank you so very much.
You're so
If
welcome.
there's, thank you.